Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The Sports Hit List presents Smoking Mirrors with Declan Krogman and the Polius brothers, Greg and Stefan, breaking down the biggest news in sports, giving you the stories behind the story. Here for all the smoke, all the time, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Smoking Mirrors. I'm your host, Stefan Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. Fellas, how you doing today? How was the weekend? Declan, we missed you on Friday, man. Glad to have you back.
Back today, back and better than ever. All excited. We had a big weekend of sports. As far as our men's league goes, got the dub. Always happy about that. Excited for the show today, man. It was a great weekend.
Yes, sir. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing well. After making that jump and play at first base yesterday, my body has not given out on me, even though you shouted I needed Bengay from center field. So I didn't forget that.
And I'm happy that your body's doing well, but I think everybody on the field and everyone listening knows that you definitely use Bengay. There's no way that you did all those three actions because you don't move like that, and you jump pretty high. I was surprised that you caught that ball. There's nothing against you. It's just Father Time, baby. Like, but yeah, I'm doing well as well. Greg, our game yesterday went really well. Always love to get a win on Sunday. Declan, shout out to you and your Sun Devils for getting a win as well. So, with that being said, getting our weekends out of the way, wanted to talk some NBA playoffs, which we're going to talk about. But before that, you have a bit of breaking news, and shouts out to Undisputed, Unc Shay Shay. So Shannon Sharp on Undisputed with Skip Bayless, they were discussing potential landing spots for Julio Jones, and it just so happened that Unc Shay Shay has Julio's number and gave him a call on set live. And while they were on, put him on speaker, Julio said that essentially he wants out of Atlanta and that he wants to win, which is huge. I'm surprised that it happened the way it did. Maybe it was staged, maybe it wasn't. I like to believe it was organic, but Julio Jones does not want to stay in Atlanta anymore. What do you guys think of this new development, Greg?
I kind of think there's the writing on the wall because Atlanta has a terrible cap situation. Calvin Ridley, gonna need to get paid. You can't pay both of them, top dollar. And what they have in Atlanta is not working. Something needs to change. So their best bet is to trade him when his value is highest. I believe he could be traded after June 1st.
Yeah.
So first of all, I don't think it was organic, Steph. By the way, I think that was planned because it's a way for Julio to get the word out there. Without, I guess, violating any quote unquote tampering rules or anything like that. Just to say, like, he's done with it. He wants to go win. He's accumulated enough stats in his career. He wants to play for a winner. Are you asking us where we think he's going yet, or is that down the road?
It's down the road. I want to hear Deck.
Yeah, I mean, I think this didn't surprise me. I guess the way it happened surprised me because it's just ridiculous. Organic or not, it's still a ridiculous way.
Yes.
I feel like Vince McMahon is like behind the curtain there planning this whole thing. It's ridiculous.
It was Carl. It was definitely Carl. Carl Shannon Sharp.
The theatrics are great.
Carl knew about this a long time ago. I'm not surprised. I think that this is something that, like Greg said, the writing was on the wall for a while now. I made a comparison of the 2021, the current Atlanta Falcons team, to the 2018 New York Giants team when they drafted Saquon Barkley. Now they drafted Pitts, who was probably at least the best player on the board at that time, maybe in the draft. Who knows? At least the most exciting, 100%. So Pitts is Barkley, Matt Ryan's Eli, now Julio could be solidifying his role as Odell if he gets traded now. So I think it's interesting. I think it's going to make for a great offseason story in what would usually be a dull period of football in that month of June. So I'm excited to see where he goes. I guess we'll get down the road and we'll see, our predictions as to where we think he's going to go. But that's I think what we got for now.
Yes. No, that down the road is now. Greg, I wanted to know, where do you think he's going to land? What is your prediction on that?
So where do I think he's going to land? First, I think he's going to land in someplace warm. He's a country boy. He don't want to be in the cold. Because at first, I was like, pairing him alongside Devontae Adams would be kind of dope. But then it's cold. Where I really think he needs to go, not once, needs to go, Los Angeles Chargers. That is where I think he needs to go. Because they have the draft capital to make a trade, right? And then you pair him alongside probably top 5 route runner in the league in Keenan Allen. With
very underrated.
Yes.
Very underrated. Alongside Justin Herbert. And now all of a sudden, you now have a super dynamic offense in a division that has the Kansas City Chiefs. And
you can't forget about Eckler.
Exactly. And it makes them a very formidable offense. And they still have Derwin James coming back on defense, and they're going to get guys healthy. And it's like, hold up. Maybe we have a little better team than we thought we did in the beginning if they could pull this off. And it would do wonders for our fantasy team, Steph.
That's all I was thinking when you were talking. I was barely paying attention to the other words.
And then I got Slater, too.
Julio? Chargers? Yeah. Deck, what do you think? Where was the landing spot?
That would definitely be exciting. I haven't heard anything about it yet, but that would be a good place to go. Everyone's going to say the Pats. I'm not going to be the guy to say that on this Monday afternoon. I don't think we're ready to hear that. It's everyone's going to say it. It's almost, I feel like that trade has been in the making for a few years. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I've heard some rumors about this. I really like him going to the Niners. I think that would make a lot of sense. They're a I would say, I know they had a bad year last year and they drafted a quarterback. I still consider them a win now team. That was an injured roster last year. They got Kittle coming back. Jimmy G's probably going to be on his last year. If they make the move to Trey Lance, regardless, now you have a rookie quarterback who's now paired with an all-time great receiver in Julio Jones. I think the move just makes a lot of sense. He'd be reunited with Kyle Shanahan. They'd be blowing some more leads in big games. It'd be really fun.
You couldn't help yourself.
The second I said Kyle Shanahan, I was like, wait a second. We mentioned the Pats. Why don't we just mention the whole Super Bowl over again? But yeah, I really like him going to the Niners. I could see the Chargers. We're going to probably hear some smoke with the Ravens because, every time a big receiver gets loose or is in question of leaving his team, we hear about the Ravens for a while. I wouldn't see that happening. Like Greg said, the Packers, that would be sick if he went there. But again, I agree with him with the whole warm weather thing. I don't think Julio is going to really want to go to a freezing cold team like New England or Pittsburgh.
He's played in a dome his whole career.
I'm curious what the numbers are when he is like outdoors in like cold environments. What is like?
I don't know if his numbers dip per se, but usually if you're from a warm climate and you spent your entire career there, you wouldn't want to go to such a drastic extreme.
Also, this is a guy who's seen a couple more injuries than he's normally used to in the past couple of years. So I don't think at that age, where he's trying to win, he's going to want to trek himself to a freezing cold environment when he could be in a warm environment.
Julio's dealt with injuries his whole career. I mean, that's been what's held him back.
That's a farce. Okay.
I don't know.
Look at the games played. If you look at Julio's games played, he had, and because he's like Declan said, the last couple of years he's maybe been hurt a little more than usual. But if you go back to the start of his career, for the most part, he's been extremely healthy. 15, 16 games. It's only recently that's happened.
Hey, Speedy, if you have the time, you can pull that up. I'd like to know that.
I have a screenshot somewhere in my phone.
Well, then you go pull that up then, because I'm not saying that he was, the injury prone every year or like he's an injury prone player. He does get injured frequently, is what I was saying.
It has held him
back. He misses time. It's not like he misses long stretches of time, but he misses time.
Right. Like I don't think he's Odell kind of injury, like the injury we see it like a couple times a year, like with the big one. He's had a couple in his career. I think he just gets dinged up, and he's a physical receiver, so that's going to happen.
Yes, and you expect that.
So here's the outside of 2013, which is where he got hurt in his third year. He only played 5 games. Every year after that, with the exception of this year, he's played at least 14 games.
I don't know why they're
was
talking about the
agreeing.
Raiders.
It's going to be
chat right now.
The only person that talks about the Raiders is Manny, and he's tight that we said the Chargers because somehow Manny thinks the Raiders have a chance in this AFC West. And frankly, they don't have a chance as long as John Gruden is at the helm, in my opinion.
He's trying to will them to victories.
And I also, well, that's probably what it is. I also think that their best chance would be, I would say, peak Raiders is third place this year, and that's putting it lightly because I don't think they're going to get by the Broncos either.
I think it's a toss-up between the two, depending on who's the quarterback for the Broncos.
Peak for the Raiders would be third place, but I kind of like the Broncos defense. Manny's getting very angry.
Oh, man. I'm not even in the chat. Let me check this.
What's the movie with the angry lawn gnome? Oh man,
Angry Lawn Gnome.
No, it was a kids movie. It was a kids movie. You guys probably wouldn't know, but it was a bunch of angry lawn gnomes, and that's who Manny reminds me of right now.
As he takes a condescending sip with the Mets on this Monday afternoon.
You know what? It's a little too spicy. I just want to put mine in. So I was going to go with the 49ers deck, but once Greg said Chargers, I need that in the universe. I need that in the universe because I need Justin Herbert to just have – I mean, Keenan Allen, amazing, right? And pairing him with Julio Jones – man, the sky's the limit for Justin Herbert already. Talented rookie, even though he has a new offensive coordinator now.
Thank
new head
God.
coach.
Oh my God.
True. But I mean, just learning a new system is really tough. So
That's
seeing some type of kind of regression, I can imagine that. But having the weapons that he does have and adding a Julio Jones to that could only put him further ahead than where he was already in his rookie season.
At least they got preseason and OTAs this year, as opposed to last year.
Yes.
That's going to be huge for a lot of young quarterbacks to see them make the jump.
He's going to need it. He's going to need it just to learn.
Absolutely.
Apparently, and I think Justin Herbert's been great, but I'm not even talking about him, but the Sam Darnolds of the world, the Daniel Jones of the world, guys like that really need the breakout good year. I think it'll be good to see them all in their new systems, mostly new systems. Getting their first full OTA and preseason in. And I'm just going to – I see Pete talking right now. I love seeing Pete in the chat. Manny beat me to it. Can we just take 2 minutes to talk about how he's not going to go to the Cowboys? I think that is just such a really good topic for a second. First of all, their receiving core is probably their best aspect besides the Zach and Deke. Deke and Zach. That wouldn't even sound bad either. That wouldn't sound bad either. Besides the Dak and Zeke combo. And I think, did Julio say that he didn't want to go to the Cowboys today or something?
I believe Shannon said he doesn't want to go there.
Yeah.
I would trust Shannon Sharp in that regard.
He was on the call.
Yes. How long before the Jets get mentioned somewhere in this?
He said he wants to go to a winning team.
So they're not ruled out. They will never come.
The Jets do not qualify as that as of right now.
No.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I wasn't even going to mention the Jets. There are probably Jets fans that are, fingers crossed, holding on to hope, but definitely not going to happen. I do want to, Greg, do you have anything else you want to say about Julio and these Cowboys? Or
I just need him in the Chargers uni. That's all. I just need him in the Chargers uni. We need him in the Chargers.
Yeah, keep putting that energy out into the world.
Yes, and speaking of some interesting energy being put out to the world, we have the whole he ain't going to the Giants. Like I said that. Like I said he was going to the Giants. Like that. Like the receiving core of the Giants is in jeopardy right now. I mean, he would never go there. It's foolish. Washington, I could see a little bit, but I don't know that he would want to go play on a
Again,
team.
we said winner. We said winner.
Yeah.
If he said winner, that does not count any team in the NFC East.
Division's wide open. It's wide open.
They're not Super Bowl contenders, is my point.
Yeah, they're not. He would definitely.
To Julio's point, they're not a winning team, so he wouldn't go.
Exactly.
But moving on, getting into the NBA playoffs as we planned, but then it got interrupted with this new news. And Greg's already celebrating. We're going to let Greg start off because he deserves it, everyone. Friday, he was a little timid. He was very tempered, I should say, in his prediction of how that game was going to go Friday night against Golden State. We all know that the Grizzlies won. But Greg, please take the floor and bask in the glow and the glory of your Memphis Grizzlies.
I can't believe we're talking about Memphis first.
Oh, what do you mean this is unbelievable? It's an 18 beat a 1 seed. What?
I'm saying it's unbelievable that actually happened. I never expected it.
And Steph, I saw the slight shade there about my timidness on Friday. But
yes.
Like I said if the Grizzlies bench showed up, they could win that game. And that's what they did against the Warriors. Plus Steph and Draymond turning the ball over late in the game helped us. And the bench also showed up last night again, but they were carried by Dillon Brooks and John Morant. And Valanciunas played really big minutes and got Rudy Gobert out of there. Obviously, I'm happy. I'm happy we won. We were down 16. We kept fighting. We kept grinding. And I think the biggest thing for us when Donovan Mitchell comes back is not stopping him, but containing him, and Jaren Jackson Jr. has to play better basketball. Last 3 games, he's been in foul trouble. He hasn't been able to affect the game, but it's clear to see how talented he is when he's in there. So he has to stay out of foul trouble and he has to be more efficient on the offensive end. And it gives us a puncher's chance. We know Ja's going to score. Mm-hmm. Dillon Brooks is playing great defense this playoffs, and that just needs to keep up. I said Grizzlies in 6. This was a huge upset pick. I would love to see it happen, but the only way it's going to happen when Mitchell comes back is if they keep grinding and making sure that they slow the pace down in that half court and because if they start running with the Jazz and the Jazz start pulling threes, we're going to get run out the gym.
Yeah,
I think they have a East Coast basketball and not the whole West Coast. I totally agree with you running back and down. I think that's not the game that's going to get them.
Yeah, no, Greg, I do have one other question for you, though. I'm curious, do you think that Dillon Brooks could keep it up offensively? The consistency has been an issue for him throughout his career. Defensively, you said he has been stepping up, but offensively, he had an amazing game for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, 31-7
Saturday. Yeah, 31-7. Carried the team. Do you imagine that continuing for this series?
So
would you rely on it? Would you rely on that offense?
Honestly, right now, yes. And what I told Andres in one of the comments last night was his shot selection since the postseason has started has changed drastically from the regular season. In the regular season, he was kind of like just, he's going nut. But I don't know if within the offense, I mean, a couple of times here that he'll take ill-advised threes, but for the most part, off the pick and roll with Morant, or when he controls the ball at the top of the key and runs the pick and roll himself, he's picking and choosing his spots a lot better than he did in the regular season. So that's also been key to us winning.
Yeah, that Deck. Any opinion on the Grizzlies and the Jazz? You watched that game?
I watched. I caught the end of it last night. I thought it was really cool that they could get it. And there was something where it was late in the game, and they were up by. The Grizzlies were up by 1 on the inbound, and they let someone, was it Brooks? I think they let him just take it to the lane and get a just a nice little layup there with like 9 seconds left. And then the Jazz called a timeout, and then Bogdanović chucked up a 3, and it was like a really bad shot selection, and that's how they lost that game. But I thought the last 30 seconds, and I guess in most close games that's the case. I thought the last 30 seconds of that game was really good, and similar to the Knicks game, which I know we'll get to in a little bit.
We will. Don't outpace it. Don't outpace it. All right. There's a lot of basketball to talk about. A lot of close games. A lot of exciting, game ones to discuss.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I heard foul trouble, or really, I just heard the word foul, and I immediately thought of Ice Tray. On the Hawks there.
We're gonna get to that. Don't worry.
Should be fun.
We need to get to it.
All
right, and we will. But we're about to go to a commercial break. Stay locked in. This is Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and we'll be right back.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. We were talking basketball at the top. We're going to keep talking basketball and get into that Knicks-Hawks game that I'm sure we all watched. The Garden was rocking. I mean, I came in, I want to say, around the second half. But, man, it was really good to see in and Greg, let us just enjoy it for a bit. But it was really good to see the Garden in the state that it was. I believe, I don't know if it was 19,000 fans that were there, some large number. I'm pretty sure I saw Tracy Morgan numerous times throughout the night.
Tons of times. Obviously, Spike Lee. I just remember watching the fourth quarter, and I was like, "Yo, it's Tracy Morgan, the last OG."
Really quick note: I met Tracy Morgan at an airport in Florida, and the same way he is on TV is exactly how he is in person. He's cool as hell. Like, that's literally him. And he was just cracking jokes with people in the airport.
I appreciate that tidbit, but it's not your time, Greg. You had your time. You wait.
I can't believe we didn't take any time during that game to just do some Rudy Gobert slander about how they needed Donovan Mitchell, since that's such a prevalent topic in the group.
Very true.
True. But the Knicks did lose a tight game, 107 to 105, and really came down to Trae Young. And just that fourth quarter performance was truly impressive. Maybe even a new Garden villain, if we're being serious. He might be the new villain in MSG. But
you might be onto something.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch that game and you heard the chants afterwards, but Deck, I want to kick it to you. Greg, you might have a chance to speak. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking about it. But Deck, what do you
I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you in a second.
Hey, you get to me. That's fine. But what do you think about the game, Deck, and any standout performances?
Well, obviously Trae Young was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it came in. He made that shot with a 0.9 on the clock.
Yeah.
Under a second. And he went off, especially that fourth quarter. He was drawing a lot of that fouls. I don't love the way he does that, by the way. That little jumps in, like
a lot of BS fouls.
100%.
Dwayne Wade made a good job of that, and a whole career of it, I should say.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Team Steve Nash in that regard. But I think you're on something with the new Garden villain. I mean, you could see the faces, like everyone's face was so drained after he made that shot. Even Spike Lee, he was wearing a mask, and you could see that his face was drained.
Yeah, 2 masks on. Spike Lee cares about his health.
He really does care. But hey, listen, I mean, hopefully, do the right thing 2 and do the right thing 3. Hopefully, we can get them out there. He needs to be on that. I don't think that's happening though, but I would love for it to. As far as the game goes, yeah. Trae Young, huge takeaway. Obviously, it was like Atlanta was a one-man show. I do think the Knicks are still going to win the series. I love the way they fought. RJ Barrett with a couple posters. Really nice overall. Julius Randle, we saw some nice shots from him. I was particularly impressed with Alec Burks in the fourth quarter. I feel like every time he put up shots, they seemed to sink, especially those mid-range jumpers, and he even hit a couple threes. I thought he was really good, and I was very surprised by that. And D Rose on the floaters, man. I mean, he really has been a great pick.
He tied that game up. I mean, that gave the Garden life. Like, I had life. It was a tie game, but still, you were thinking, OT.
I'm not even a Knicks fan by any stretch, but I was on the edge of my seat that entire game. I really zoned in on the fourth quarter. Crazy. I mean, it's unfortunate they lost. I found myself subconsciously wanting to see them win, probably because they were playing down the road for me. Mm-hmm. But the Garden was electric. I don't think I've seen the Garden I don't think I've seen the Garden pumping that much since Linsanity, honestly. I mean, this is a 2012, 2013 vibe all over again. So it's nice to see, even if you're not a fan, if you're a New Yorker, it's nice to see New York basketball back on both sides of I guess the East River.
Yeah. I believe I during the telecast, they mentioned that was the largest crowd size in NBA game since the pandemic started. So makes sense that it was rocking the way it was.
Basketball's better when the Mecca is flourishing.
I agree with that. And to your point, Alec Burks, like he was phenomenal off the bench. He carried that team offensively, and then just like every time you saw him, take a shot, it was sinking. Whereas by contrast, Julius Randle really struggled. 6 of 23 from the floor. He's 2 of 6 from 3, but just not the offensive presence that you need him to be, that he's been all season long, and what you anticipate that he will be.
Right.
So that definitely hurts the Knicks. Derrick Rose is phenomenal. I think coming off the bench, he still got 38 minutes. Good to see a performance like that. Great to see a performance like that. I agree with you. I still see the Knicks taking it, but it is a devastating blow, right? To fight as hard as they did and not come away with a win. Greg, I'm going to finally let you speak a little bit. What do you think about, for Knicks fans, as a former Knicks fan, what do you think Knicks fans are thinking right now? Is it kind of dire, or is it because this is a situation that they weren't expecting to be in the 4th seed, but can you see the Knicks pulling out from this game 1 defeat?
First of all, thank you for finally letting me speak. But
you're welcome.
You
spoke out of turn before. That was on you. All right.
I do want to say I'm really happy for Knicks fans because Knicks fans deserve this. It's been a long time coming. Watching the Garden. Shout out to our cousin Daryl who got to watch it in person.
Yes,
Some of his story, you could feel the vibe of the Garden from his story, even in just the Knicks warming up. So I am happy for you guys and seeing that. Trey is definitely going to be a new villain, especially with the after the crowd. I mean, honestly, the crowd kind of earned that. I'm not going to lie.
You're right.
The crowd earned that. But what I will say is I'm not counting the Knicks out because I don't see Julius Randle shooting that poorly. Both Julius and RJ shooting that poorly.
Yeah,
all series long. And I think a Thibodeau team is mentally tough that they could bounce back from something like this. As heartbreaking of a loss as it was at home, I could still see them winning the series in 6.
I like that. You know what? I'm proud of you. You had an opportunity there to really say something rude, and you didn't. And that's why I'm proud of you. And I do agree about that with Julius Randle. I will say though, Trae Young has one of those faces that I feel like is easy to hate. Right,
you got to punch him. You got to punch him. Absolutely.
Somebody made a comment about
shushing the crowd.
Yeah.
I was like,
I forgot who it was. It was a Knicks fan, but somebody said something about they hate how his hair looks on his face.
He looks like a 2K character came to life and just jumped out of the screen.
To me, when I look at his hair, it feels like it's still rendering. Like if you playing 2K, like his hair is not rendered correctly. But we don't got to go that far. I don't want to go in and if he's I'm hoping he listens to us. This is the fire he needs to like really go off. I don't want that to
motivate him.
Yeah. But let's talk about the other New York team, the Nets, who went up against the Celtics, and it wasn't supposed to be a close game. But most of the game throughout the first half and into the second, the Celtics were doing pretty well, keeping pace. They ended up ultimately losing 104-93. But this is just the 9th time now that we're seeing the big 3 on the court. That being
that's ridiculous, by the way.
KD, it really is. It's surprising to see it's so few games. But KD, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, all on the court, and really didn't seem like they missed a beat. If you ask me, there was definitely room for growth in for the Nets as far as just their efficiency from the field. But they won the game they're supposed to win. Greg, I'll let you start this one. What do you think about the Nets and? Carl, real quick, just a shout out to you. I'm sorry. I'm sure it was a tough game to watch. I know you're expecting it. You were kind of
he gets no oblige. Because he was on the show and he had this laissez-faire energy, and then he went and put up a post. He was like, "Yeah, I said it. We gonna win the series." Nah. Carl always talk about being consistent, but this is why I call Carl consistently inconsistent. Okay. Because he does things like this. And out of all the series in the NBA that happened this weekend, this is the only series that for a fact is over before it started. The Brooklyn Nets shot a putrid 25% from 3 and still beat them by 10 points. 11 points.
11, yeah.
And Brad Stevens still hasn't figured out that Robert Williams is the best rebounder and best defensive player.
That boy was a menace. 9
For whatever reason, Brad Stevens hasn't figured that out. And because of that, they got killed on the boards as well. So no, Carl. You came on the show and said Celtics in 6 very timidly, okay? And then you went on your page, on your personal status. You thought I wasn't going to peep that, though. And it was like, Celtics in 6. Yeah, I said it. You ain't had that same energy. Don't do that.
He said it. You're right. It wasn't the same energy, though. I agree. It wasn't like yelling it from the mountaintops. He was just like, Celtics in 6.
My son was praying to Celtic Jesus for wins.
Celtics.
I think that I wasn't here, so I can't speak to the energy in which he said it. But I did peep his Instagram stories, and he's got like the music in the background. He's taking pictures in front of his house with a Paul Pierce jersey or something on or whatever he had. I forget what it was. He was definitely all greened out. He was excited. Well, that could mean something else, but he was definitely all Celtic greened out and very excited. What was it? I feel like it was Friday night they played, but it was really Saturday night. Last night's had a Saturday night vibe at the Garden more than anything else, I feel like. But
you mean the Barclays Center?
No, I was talking about the Garden because I said that
You went back to the Knicks.
You kind of confused us for a second.
Well, I was saying that Nets Celtics game gave me like a Friday night vibe. Maybe my week was just off, and I felt like the Knicks.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Saturday night vibe at the Garden.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Yeah.
That's where I went with that.
I mean, to be honest, it's just a boring series. That if we want to call it what it is. And
Well
Jaylen
done.
Brown would make all the difference in this series to me, because Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart can only do but so much.
I mean, Kemba just didn't have the minutes, right? Like, if he did, he was pretty efficient with the time he had. Shout out to Speedy real quick. He asked Greg, and I'm sure you saw it, but I want to bring it up. You still confident in your Nets in 3?
Oh, absolutely. I might say 2.5.
Hard ball over here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Greg, about Robert Williams. Like, he was just a menace defensively, and he only had 23 minutes, I believe. So he had 11 points, 9 rebounds, 9 blocks. That's just a guy that, you know, if you're trying to protect the rim, trying to get boards, rebounds in the paint, like you want to give him more time. He had 2 less minutes than Tristan Thompson, and it's not like Tristan Thompson did a lot with his time on the court.
Usually he does a lot with his time off the court.
and Evan Fournier played like damn near 40 minutes of doing absolute.
Yeah.
Evan Fournier
30% from the field, 10
did
points.
40 minutes, and it was cardio. That's what it was. It was cardio.
We're at number 94. That's just a sign that he shouldn't get that many minutes.
I will say, though, while the Nets didn't shoot well, they were really good rebounding, right? So they out-rebounded the Celtics and just put themselves in a position where they can have more second-chance shots and prevented the Celtics from getting their second-chance shots. And if you looked at that second half, you know, once the Nets went up, the Celtics were kind of keeping step. They didn't fall behind too far, but they just never went on the run that they needed to.
You know what else you didn't see in the second half? Carl in the group chat.
Ooh. Hey, I wasn't expecting you to hit it that hard, man. That was damn. Carl, boss man. All right, don't cancel us. Greg is his own island. All right? Deck and I believe in you, and we understand that, you know, your Celtics, they have a chance. I can't say it. I can't even say it.
He tried. He did try. He tried. Steph and I are company men to an extent.
But
Greg doesn't.
Greg, to your point, I think to another point, one of your points, Jaylen Brown would make a huge difference in this series, just offensively. And I still don't think we're looking at the big three being as efficient as they can be and doing what they need to do on the court. So 2.5, you said, for the Nets. It almost seems like it's possible if the three of them get going. So I don't even think it's that outlandish. And you're right. This is the one series that we all know is in the books already.
Carl is really salty in the chat. He's like, "It's okay."
Man, wait, Wednesday show. He's gonna go in on us already.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm ready for that to happen.
I feel the opening monologue smoke coming.
And he's not going to have anyone else on either. He's going to do. He's got this new thing where he does, and I think it's great. Where he's got the sports hit list like highlights, and then he goes into a show. That's awesome. That'll look great for football season too. I think he's going to come on just himself. He's like, "Fellas, what's up? I got to address something quick." And just go in for like 15 minutes.
He's already writing that down. He's writing down the monologue now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In between writing in the chat,
Devers trying to stop him. It's not working. He's going all in on this. He's got his Celtic green pen with like he's gonna draw shamrocks.
There are 2 other series we really do have to address though.
Yes, Mavericks.
Okay, yes.
Mavs Clippers. And what? Suns
Lakers.
Absolutely,
Suns,
absolutely. I have to apologize to.
We'll start with your apology.
Yeah, I have to apologize to DeAndre Ayton because I called him. I believe I called him inconsistent, just like Carl.
Yes, I do believe that happened.
And he went out there and absolutely dogged AD. And I
was
think to the
very
tune
low.
of like 2011. I can't remember the exact numbers, but he had a really good game.
I got it.
And AD did not have a good game. Now, do I think that's going to happen for the rest of the series? I do not.
No.
But I just want to, I want to give their Suns their flowers on game one. CP3, my guy, came back from what we thought was another playoff injury. D Book went off in his first ever playoff game for 34.
Real good.
Yeah, and the Suns they did what they needed to do. They won a game at home and
kept the lead through most of the game as well.
I still think that the Lakers are a better team, and I think the better team will ultimately prevail in 5 or 6 games, and which sucks because the Suns had a great year, and it's just bad luck, to be honest.
I really like the Suns. I think I wish I was on Friday. I had my pick there. I like the Suns this year. I mean, listen.
Is this because your sister's a Suns fan?
I was going to say, shout out to my sister. Well, first of all, I mean, there's an old saying, I guess. It's like, with older gentlemen, like, well, you're not old, but Greg has a wife. So, happy wife, happy life. In my life right now, with my sister in the house, as long as she's happy, I can have a halfway decent day. All right. So I guess we need the Suns to be good. I do like them, though, in all seriousness. Like you said, I looked it up, 21-16 points to rebounds ratio. He really did. He went at AD's throat, and it showed. And with LeBron, he didn't get poked in the eye this time.
The flop James.
We have to talk about that.
Yes.
But continue.
I saw a stat. And I posted it in the group where Kevin Pillar was down on the ground for like 36 seconds.
Yeah.
After his face exploded. And LeBron was down for 80 seconds because he got poked in the eye. I mean, you thought he was like Rocky Balboa in like the 12th round when he's like, I'm aiming for the rim in the middle. Like,
you know what it is? I'm a LeBron fan. I really am. But when he does things like this, it makes it so hard to defend him because it's like, bro, you are 6'8", 260 pounds of like solid muscle. Why are you letting a 6'3" point guard make you look like you're flailing across the paint?
The way he fell is like, you ain't hurting from that, bro. Like, come on. It was just bad. The roll, holding his shoulder, it was just the most.
He tries to recreate like the Jordan flu game with like his own little like dinged up like Band-Aid super.
I don't know if I would go as far as the Jordan flu game, and there's that's a conversation for another day. But there's definitely it's just like I know LeBron's a big soccer fan. I don't know if he draws from that type of energy with the flopping in soccer because that's what it looks like.
I heard there's a stretcher with LeBron's name on it. Just for whenever he falls on the ground, they just run out with it because
next to Paul Pierce
so often.
Damn, Carl, this is a rough episode for you, bro.
I'm attacking from the inside. It's all right.
Boss man, like I said, all good here, all right? It's just Greg. Me and Deck are cool. But with that, we're gonna go to commercial break. Please stay locked in. We're going to talk a little bit more NBA playoffs because, like Greg said, we got to talk about those Mavs and those Clips. So stick around. This is Smoke and Mirrors presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, and we'll be right back.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is Smoke and Mirrors on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back. This is Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports Hit List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. And we're talking basketball. Got a little bit more basketball to talk about. Mavs and Clippers. Greg, I think you called for the Mavs on Friday?
Yeah, I did.
Correct? Carl and I were both, saying the Clippers have this. And I believe you said George Paul would show up, if I wasn't mistaken. Yes, but he didn't do poorly, but you did have an amazing game from Luka for the Mavs going with a triple-double. KP was pretty much invisible, but overall, 36 minutes too, which is it's frustrating, but the Mavs pulled through with a nice win, 113-103. Deck, I'll kick it to you. What do you think of this matchup? I want to know what your pick is. Do you have the Mavs or the Clippers winning this series?
Yeah, I know I sound horrible because I have the Suns and the Mavs, and they both won game one. But yeah, I had the Mavs. I think that this is going to be a huge revenge game. I know Trez Harrell ain't there. Montrezl Harrell, call him Trez. That's his nickname. But Trez isn't there anymore. He's on the other side of town, or not really. I guess the other side of the locker room in LA. But I love what Luka's been doing, and I thought that this is a personal matchup to him. And I really like. I don't like the vibe I get from the Clippers. I just think that they're a team that was poorly put together. And I think that showed with Doc Rivers leaving after he had some decent success. I would say more in Boston, but he was a hell of a coach, even still. And with the Clippers, I know you guys might disagree, but I do like Doc Rivers. I've always been a Doc guy. But I really like the Mavericks in this series. I guess we'll talk about some people who are there. KP, I mean, the unicorn, it's like he doesn't even have his horns anymore. He's virtually invisible and sometimes a non-factor. And I really think the Knicks won that trade big time. But keeping on topic, I think that Luka is just unstoppable. I don't think that the Clippers really have. I know Kawhi can defend just about anybody, but that team is
can't defend Luka.
Well, that's the thing is that as good as Kawhi is, Luka has still been going right over him, and that's what's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm ready for all the smoke today.
Absolutely, and that's why I think this Mavericks team is special, and I think that they can get through. If we see Luka going over a guy like Kawhi Leonard, I mean, aside from the Rudy Goberts in the world, you can really go over anybody. So that's where I stand with that series at this moment.
Greg, what about you?
So,
what are your thoughts, sir?
I think everybody focuses on Luka and KP and don't realize that there are some other key cogs on the Mavericks that play big roles, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. or a Darius Finney-Smith, and even a Jalen Brunson coming off the bench, that could light it up from three in an instant. My problem with the Clippers is they have all the star power in the world, but to me, that for a team that has that much star power, they miss the it factor, like to finish and close games.
Yeah,
and you even saw that last year in the first round. Even though they won the series in the first round, it wasn't a convincing series win over the Mavs.
Yeah,
I almost feel like even though they won, they kind of lost with the whole. I know Harold didn't handle himself right when he was going after Luka and everything. They were kind of bullying him, trying to get him injured. I felt like that was a moral loss for them, and they wound up winning. And I think this is just going to come back to bite them this year.
I just think, to be honest, Luka is the best offensive player in the series. And in order to win in the playoffs, you need a guy that could get buckets in crunch time. And the the Clippers don't have a Luka.
It ain't playoff P, that's for sure.
I told you, George Paul will be the bane of their existence.
And just to, you brought up Doc earlier, Declan. It ain't on Doc. Like Doc said it, in the offseason. He's not the reason that they struggled last year. And even though he was jettisoned, they're the same team still. And I'm not going to go back on my prediction. I'm still going to go with the Clips. We'll see how they play in game 2. But I agree, Greg, what you said about just lacking that star like a Luka on the other side. And he just can take over a game with the supporting cast that he has is just enough to edge the Clippers potentially in the series.
Deck, you said the Mavs are a special team. I don't think they're special. I just think they have one of the best players in the league. That's it.
I think that's why they're special. Yeah. I'm not even looking at the coaching staff or the role players like Tim Hardaway Jr. on that team. I'm just looking at Luka. I mean, they really. I know we talked a lot about Ice Trey. I don't know if that's like a prominent nickname for him, but I'm going to keep calling him that. Trae Young was great in the Knicks game last night, but I really think the Mavericks won that trade big time, getting Luka on draft night. Was just huge for them. And
it worked out for both organizations, to be honest.
It did, but when you have a guy like Luka who is really just a superstar in this game, and his ceiling is a top 5 player, like as far as his, I'm not saying all time, I'm saying top 5, perennial MVP candidate like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's a guy to get in a trade essentially straight up for Trae Young is just huge.
Agreed.
It's not a knock on Trae; it's just a hype on Luka.
And that's great. That's great, but I do want us to get to the main topic. I'm going to call it the main one just because it's the title of the episode, but it's also something that just needs to be brought up. For all of those at home, whether you're in the Sports Hit List group or you just watch us and listen to us, you know that there's a lightning rod that exists at Smoke and Mirrors, and his name is Fernando Tatis Jr. And if you do follow us, then a few weeks back, young Declan here had a prediction. Tatis was just coming off of having back-to-back multi-hit games. He was 2 for 4 in 2 games, and his average was coming up. He was batting around 200, and he came up to 240. Declan did make a prediction that at the end of that week, Tatis would be batting back around 200 again, because earlier in the season he was struggling with keeping consistency.
I said he was going to be down to 220, but
220. Yeah. Okay.
218,
you know what?
220.
Semantics. But you made the prediction. Tatis did go on the COVID protocol list, and he wasn't able to play until May 19th.
And
Since May 19th, he's played in 4 games. Tatis is batting .785 in those games with 12 RBIs, 7 runs scored, 4 home runs, 3 RBIs. On the year, Tatis is currently batting .309 with a .384 OBP. He's slugging .727 with an OPS of 1,111. His OPS puts him second in the league right now. His stolen bases put him at second because he has 10 on the season. He is tied for 8th in runs scored with 30, and he's tied for 3rd in home runs. Fernando Tatis Jr. is a force to be reckoned with. And Declan, I want to say, and this is, there's no ill will here. I mean, we have bad takes from time to time, but everyone in the sports world knows that crow is the dish best served cold. And my friend, you look mighty hungry.
I am very hungry. Just to talk about this.
Wait.
What's up?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll let you cook.
Shout out to Tatis. He's been great. It took him a while. Hopefully, all the fantasy owners that drafted him are currently not in the cellar anymore, like they were when he was hitting 180 and not playing. Here's why I'm pretty happy, especially, is that, like I said, his swing, he had an issue in his swing. It was a very, very free swing all over the place. Thankfully, he has toned it down. So he must have been listening to me. But you guys might remember his name is Damon Easley. He's the Padres hitting coach. Played for the Mets to round out his career in 2007, 2008. He worked with him on his approach. He worked with him on his swing, got him to tone it down a bit, and now he's raking. I'm happy to see it. I think it's great. I'm glad that he figured it out now and not in.
He's raked at every point in his career except the beginning of the season. So I don't think it was like a major.
Well, why
tweak.
did they change it? No, totally. No,
he was slumping because players slump.
He was, yeah. I mean, he was having a Lindor start to the season, no doubt about it.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
He was injured.
He didn't go for a stretch as far as Lindor did.
No, he didn't because he affected the game in other ways Lindor didn't.
Right, by making 7 errors in his first 3 games. But you're right, sure.
And by having 8 home runs.
This is why people have issues with you.
Offensively, he did his job.
Because you were strictly talking about offense right now, and then I made a point to counteract what you just said, and you immediately threw out the defense.
Because you just said other ways of the games than offense.
No, I didn't say.
You just said other ways of the game.
No,
what do you
want?
He
affected the game in other ways, meaning he was stealing bases, he was still scoring runs.
Yes.
And he affected
the game in
mean. Driving in runs
as well.
He wasn't doing that.
It was his average that was hurting.
Doing that. He literally was.
Francisco Lindor did not add to the Mets.
What are you talking about?
No, the errors.
See, this is why we take issue, because you just try to shift the goalpost mid-sentence, and I called you out on it.
No, I didn't. Wrong. You're making a fool of yourself, first of all, because you're saying that he's going other ways.
I'm making a fool of myself, and Fernando Tatis is top 10 in the league in every offensive statistical category.
That's fine. Let's see if he stays healthy.
But I'm making a fool of myself, and you said he would regress.
He's
going on.
First of all, he had a terrible 2 months.
Hold on. Let's just clear this up real quick. What Greg is saying that he affected the game in more ways and other ways, he's correct. Because Tatis was still taking bags. He was still hitting home runs. He was struggling with his batting average because he was striking out and not always getting on base. But when he was on base, he was impacting the game. That's how he ends up with 30 runs scored, tied for 8th in the league, because it's only 4 games that he's really gone on the stretch. So he has been productive more than Francisco Lindor, which is true.
Right.
Francisco Lindor went on a hitless streak for 23 at-bats, 24, I think, actually. And he was not – his counting stats are nowhere close to Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor is not anywhere close to Fernando Tatis Jr. in any stat right now, because he has not been a contributor the way that Fernando Tatis has, and you can just admit that. Defensively, that's another argument. You can make that.
He said other ways of the game, and we mentioned other ways of the game.
No, I was talking strictly.
I understood what you meant.
So you clarified that after the fact. That's fine, but don't say that I'm talking out of turn by mentioning defense when you're saying affecting the game in other ways.
But that's not.
Are you a baseball player? Do you understand how the conversation works? You play baseball.
Other ways.
You play baseball.
Yes.
If we're talking offense, don't be a dunce if we're talking offense and then make it seem like I'm talking about defense.
You said
Because
other ways of the game. That's another part of the
talking
game.
about
Give me-
offense.
He's affecting the game other ways of the game.
Declan misunderstood.
Yeah, DA.
You understand now, so it doesn't matter, actually. That whole point doesn't matter because
I'm
he
glad
wasn't talking
clarified
defense,
his
he was talking
original point.
offense.
I'm glad he figured
I
it.
knew what he meant. You didn't know what he meant, but now you know what he meant. And so we're all on the
Other
same
ways of
page.
the game. Good.
We're all on the same page. You're Crow. You enjoy it. You deserve it. I believe as far as his health, he hasn't shown any signs since the injury.
Yeah,
Well, we hope that he does stay healthy.
I saw
Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to do what he always does. He's going to hit. All right. If he's going to hit for over 300, maybe not. But those counting stats, the power stats, the man barrels the ball unlike any other player in the MLB. We knew that already from his last 2 seasons. So I don't think that's going to change much.
Let's just see, because we weren't talking about this for 2 months. We were awfully quiet.
No. Stop. I'm not going to let you get away with that before we go. I'm absolutely not going to let you get away with that because last week you said on Monday that even though you mentioned that his batting average went up 110 points within 2 weeks, that he was going to go back down again. And yet Steph just mentioned to you, since then, he's hitting over 700. So for you
in that span,
in 4 games, guys, the prediction
any major league player that hits
700, it's a 6-game hitting streak.
6-game stretch is a stud. Period. If you could hit that at that level, but for you to sit here and still try to make amends with how ridiculous that notion was is crazy to me because we have all the numbers in your face and you're still trying to defend the indefensible.
What's the ridiculous notion?
That you just said we weren't talking about this 2 months ago. We'll see if he's doing that in a couple months. What?
We'll see.
What do you mean? We'll see.
Hold on, real quick. Deck, the sample size you're using to say that Tatis can't keep this up is the beginning of the season because every other time Tatis has been on the field for the last 2 seasons, he's hit. But how many games is that compared to how many games?
I'm just glad they fixed his swing. That's all it is.
Stop taking a small sample size and trying to extrapolate it to something more.
Which is what you did with him in the beginning when you said
he's there are more. His stats of him producing as a top 10 player in this league are much greater than the beginning of the season. You took a smaller sample size than what we're taking because you said he's played less than 600 games. But then you take the beginning of the season and say, he went over a few games and he hasn't been consistent. And you're using that as your explanation as to why he's not going to continue this. He's shown us that he's this hitter, though. Everyone in baseball knows that. Everyone that's listening knows that. Only you.
They didn't change his swing. They tweaked his mechanics. There's a difference.
It's a slump.
Stop. There's a difference between changing a swing and tweaking mechanics. His swing path is still the same. They did not change his swing. There was nothing drastic.
There was nothing drastic to Tatis's swing.
No. A tweak and a change is very different.
Well, they worked. They felt that there was something to work on, and that's what they did. And
because there's something to work on with him. Dominic Smith.
So the
Dominic Smith tweaked something in his swing too.
What are you talking about?
Every hitter works on.
Hold on, Greg. What are you saying that the prediction's out the window?
So I said by the end of the week that day he was hitting what? He climbed up from like 188 to 240. I said at the end of the week he would be at 220. At the end of the week, he was at 240 because he had COVID and he didn't play. Yes. So that whole prediction of the week thing, that's out of the
window. Hold on. So to that point, Deck, the fact of the matter is, it's not the end of the week he was at 240, so you were still wrong technically. But the next time he played, he went 4 for 4. We're talking about the next time he's going to be on the field. The next time he was on the field, you predicted that he wasn't going to keep it up. He's gone on a 6-game hitting streak.
Not what I said.
He had two. How is it? How
end of the week that would be his batting average?
Yeah, you said that because you didn't see him continuing to hit after going 2 for 4 in 2 games because he hasn't shown us that this season. And what I'm saying to you is the next 4 games of the season that he played in, he has collected 11 hits. You were wrong because you predicted that he would not be able to do it. And whether it was that week or the next time he was going to play, he was not going to be able to maintain the pace. And he did that and then some. So you were incorrect because Tatis was heating up, like we said, and he is that hitter. You don't believe he's that hitter. That's why you keep saying, we'll see what happens.
Oh my God.
You just said that. You just said, we'll see what happens. You didn't say that. You didn't just say, we'll see what happens.
I said, wait, he's not the hitter. I said he's going to be one of the best hitters in baseball, best players in baseball.
Answer my question, though. Did you not say we'll see what happens?
This is what I mean about you talk out of both sides of your mouth. This right here.
Don't even get me started.
This is exactly
what. Please.
This is because you're saying right here he's one of the best hitters in the league, but then you say, "Oh, we'll see what he does," which is a condescending tone to how he's a hitter.
Doesn't make sense.
That he's one of the best hitters in the next 15 years.
No.
He's not going to win MVP like you guys incorrectly projected. Well, you projected.
What does that have to do with this conversation right now? You're all over the place. You are all over the place, sir. You are all over the place.
I'm sorry.
Stop it. Get some help.
You know what? Hold on.
It's child.
Deck. Continue. You know what? No. We ran over. Tatis, like I said, is a lightning rod for this show, and it's amazing that Deck is the reason that he is. But.
And we talked about him and not the Yankees' historical pitching. So
you wanted. Well, you could have just ate your crow and we could have moved on, but you didn't.
Exactly. You tried to defend the indefensible.
It's okay.
Indefensible. You're the same guy who says that like Daniel Jones is done and he's played 2 years.
Daniel Jones sucks. Get off him.
Oh, let's
your evaluations of any quarterback in the league. So
let's not bring up another sport.
How'd that go?
We're wrapping this up. We couldn't talk about the Yankees because we talked about Tatis longer than we were anticipating.
I was wrong for
you could have ate your crow. We could have moved on. You didn't. But now it's okay. The fans know. The listeners at home and the watchers know what's going on. And
they also
like
know
I said,
they listen to me that their fantasy team will be pretty damn good so far.
We're coming to a close. This has been a very fiery ending to a Smoke and Mirrors episode. I hope you all enjoyed. We'll be back again on Friday between 1 and 2. Bringing you all the fun talking points that you know and love. But like I always say, I'm your host, Stephen Polius, alongside Declan Krogman and Greg Polius. This is Smoke and Mirrors, presented by the Sports List on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And we'll see you on Friday. Take care.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.